Hi everyone, this is Eagle News. I am EJayGonzales in Washington. It's Saturday, October 15, 2022, here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins now. In a sentence that shocked and angered some relatives of the victims, a U.S. jury has rejected the death penalty and backed life imprisonment for Nicholas Cruz. Cruz shot and killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. 24-year-old Cruz, wearing a striped sweater and large glasses, stared down expressionless at the defense table as the verdict was read. Parents of several slain children shook their heads in disbelief. A death penalty recommendation needed to be unanimous. One or more of the 12 jurors found it was not justified because of mitigating circumstances. Linda Bigel Schoolman, mother of Scott Bigel, a teacher who was killed, is not happy at all with the verdict. For her, there is no closure after your child has been murdered.
He should have been given the death penalty no matter what. There's no closure when your son has been murdered. There just is no closure. It's just like I say, a chapter being closed, but there is no closure.
In other news, October 10 is World Mental Health Day, and as millions across the globe suffer mental health challenges, most of which were worsened by the pandemic, the United Nations chief has this message: make quality healthcare accessible to all. Jeff Sanidad reports.
In a video message for World Mental Health Day, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the capacity of health services to offer quality care to those in need, in particular young people, must be strengthened. This includes community-based services and integrating support for mental health into broader health and social care. Guterres says some countries have only 2 mental health workers for every 100,000 people. He says the social and economic repercussions are profound and that anxiety and depression alone cost the global economy an estimated $1 trillion per year. With nearly 1 billion people living with a mental health condition, he says mental health remains one of the most neglected aspects of health care. Guterres calls for investing in mental well-being because it means investing in health and prosperous communities.
We must also address stigma and discrimination and break down the barriers that prevent people from seeking care and support. And we must prevent the root causes of mental health conditions, including violence and abuse. The United Nations is committed to working with partners to promote mental well-being. As we mark World Mental Health Day, let us make it a global priority and act urgently so that everyone, everywhere, has access to quality mental health care.
Jeff Sanidad, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Public schools in the United States receive millions of additional funding for food service equipment upgrades. The funding is part of the country's campaign against food insecurity and will help provide nutritious breakfast and lunch meals to millions of American school children. Summer Esguerra reports.
$50 million in additional grants have been awarded to schools to invest in new food service equipment aimed to help continue serving nutritious meals to children. The $50 million funding adds to the $30 million in equipment grants given to schools by the Biden-Harris administration earlier this year. This announcement comes as USDA stands with partners and advocates in the child nutrition community to celebrate National School Lunch Week, which is October 10 to 14. The Agriculture Department says this is a time to recognize the critical nutrition that school meals provide to tens of millions of children every school day. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack says ensuring access to nutritious school meals is one of the best investments that can be made in the fight to end child hunger and improve health. He says the additional resources will allow schools to provide healthy, appealing meals by meeting vital food service equipment needs. USDA says school districts can use the funds to purchase upgraded equipment that will support serving healthier meals, including those sourced from local foods, implementing scratch cooking, establishing or expanding school breakfast, storing fresh food, and improving food safety. Summer Escara, Pensacola, Florida, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Amid rising interest rates and inflation, the housing market in the country continues to slow down. Anna Kui tells us more.
Industry experts agree that the U.S. housing market continues to slow down, leading to market correction as the Federal Reserve continues to fight inflation with its third rate increase this year in September. But predictions on how this will affect home prices are conflicting, as some say home prices will decline in 2023, while others expect that we'll still see a slight appreciation in home prices by this time next year. According to CoreLogic, home prices declined by 0.7% nationwide on a month-over-month basis in August compared to July 2022. However, home prices nationwide is still up by 13.5% in August compared to a year ago. But it is worth noting that it is the lowest year-over-year increase recorded since April 2021. This reflects the continued cooling buyer demand due to higher mortgage rates, not to mention the winding down of the pandemic-driven housing trends, according to CoreLogic. Las Vegas remains in the top 10 list of large cities with the highest price increases year over year. I spoke with Macy, a local real estate advisor, and this is what she had to say.
In the summertime and during peak months, it was very competitive as far as submitting offers, waiving contingencies, and losing out to a lot of cash buyers. But because of the change in the interest rates and the different economy now, a lot of the sellers are offering different incentives, like a credit towards closing costs, a credit to buy down interest rates, and different things just to entice buyers.
A recent report from Las Vegas Realtors shows that 2,030 single-family homes were sold in September, up 1.4% from August, and down 36.7% compared to September 2021. Currently, the housing supply in southern Nevada is at 4 months, according to experts, which is still not enough to meet the demand of the rising population, especially here in Las Vegas. Only time will tell which predictions on the home prices will be realized, and they can be negative or positive depending on which side of the market you're on. Anna Kui, Las Vegas, Nevada, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Meanwhile, in Canada, due to privacy security concerns surrounding the electronic monitoring of employees by employers, the province of Ontario puts in effect a law that holds companies accountable if they covertly track workers digitally. Joshua Santillana reports.
Ontario has put into effect their electronic monitoring policy for businesses and workplaces earlier this week. Employees all over Ontario are now able to know if their employers are tracking their digital activities. Since the start of the pandemic initiated a remote or hybrid work environment, many employees became aware of the potential tracking of their digital activities, with many employers left wondering if their employees are working efficiently from home. Many businesses and companies rely on electronic monitoring to track employee progress from home. Electronic monitoring poses several privacy and cybersecurity concerns for many. Because of this, the Ontario government is now requiring all employers with 25 or more workers to provide a written policy for their employees on electronic monitoring. The policy must outline whether or not the business monitors their employees, how and in what circumstances they are monitored, the reason as to why they are collecting information, the date of when the policy is applicable, and when changes are made. Although the new law does not forbid electronic monitoring, the hope is that the policy will provide more transparency between employers and employees. Joshua Santillana, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now, several stories from Thomas Likeness today. A call for a universal extreme weather warning by the United Nations. Wildlife populations dropping by 70% in the last 50 years. A humanoid robot greeting guests at Dubai's Museum of the Future. All these and more on this week's Correspondent at Large.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. A mostly environmental theme this week, but at the end we'll have a peek into the future. But first, calamities, catastrophes, and disasters caused by extreme weather. They're on the rise. And how devastating are these extreme weather events? UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says they create more refugees than war does.
3 times more people are displaced by climate disasters than war. Half of humanity is already in the danger zone. The world is failing to invest in protecting the lives and livelihoods of those on the front line. Those who have done the least to cause the climate crisis are paying the highest price. Entire populations are being blindsided by cascading climate disasters without any means of prior alert.
Surviving these events is a challenge, but it can be done if you're prepared. But sadly, half the world isn't, at least according to the United Nations. It says countries with poor early warning systems see 8 times more deaths from disasters than nations that are better prepared. Guterres wants to see what he calls universal early warning coverage, and he wants it set up in the next 5 years. He says that would be a lifesaver when these events occur. I want to give you a first-hand look now at the after effects of extreme weather. What you see here on the screen is the Iguazu Falls. It's a famed tourist attraction on the border between Brazil and Argentina. After heavy rains last week, this is what the falls looked like. 10 times, that's right, 10 times the usual water volume is flowing here. How much is it? 14.5 million liters of water per second, every second. Walkways over the falls were closed because of the high water levels. How is wildlife faring in the world? Not well, according to the head of the World Wildlife Fund. Marco Lambertini says wildlife populations have dropped 69% in the last half century.
This is shocking. It's not only sad because so many species are disappearing and so many individuals of the species are disappearing from the planet, but because we are beginning to understand that actually a collapse in wildlife populations affects the ecosystems that produce so many services critical to our own survival as a human species.
Lambertini says human activity is responsible for most of the losses. The situation is the worst in Latin America and the Caribbean. That's because habitats are being cleared to make way for development. Lambertini says the world needs to rethink its harmful and wasteful agricultural practices before the global food chain collapses. California coasts have been eroding for decades now, and oysters may be able to stop that. Scientists hope these oyster reefs in San Diego Bay may protect against coastal erosion caused by rising sea levels. Thousands of mollusks have been growing here. It's part of a plan to mitigate damage to the Southern California shoreline. Eileen Marr, Director of Environment Conservation at the Port of San Diego, says the oysters also purify the water.
Oysters also filter about 50 gallons a day of water. So they help remove the turbidity out of the water and help clean the water, which will provide additional benefits to eelgrass, which is the submerged aquatic vegetation.
Marr says the more vegetation in the bay, the less chance of the shoreline eroding. And what does the future hold? Well, here's a hint from the Museum of the Future in Dubai.
Hello, human. Salam alaikum. Welcome to the museum. My name is Ameca. I'm a humanoid robot and I work for the Museum of the Future.
Meet Ameca. Billed as the world's most advanced humanoid robot, Ameca greets and interacts with visitors to the museum. It looks directly at the person being spoken to and can move its face similar to how a human would. The museum showcases the future and how things like robots, self-driving cars, and other technologies will impact people's lives. You know, I'm beginning to find this all a little bit scary. I worry sometimes about coming home and finding out that Alexa is dating the Roomba that vacuums our floors. Back in 7 days, and in the meantime, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. Thomas I. Likeness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now, creations of dozens of artists, painters, and sculptors delight art enthusiasts at Papua New Guinea's annual contemporary art exhibit. To tell us more, here's Echo Hortaleza Quinola on Oceania at a Glance.
The well-attended contemporary arts exhibition at the APEC House is now open to the public. National Cultural Commission Director Stephen Kilanda spearheads the occasion. The 4-day exhibit captures the attention of the diplomatic corps. Over 200 pieces of artworks created by 85 artists, painters, and sculptors have their creations on display.
It has a couple of objectives. One, to give prominence to the work that they do, to provide the second thing is to provide a marketing outlet for some of the work, to be able to bring them together and learn of each other. That's important in terms of what they do, what opportunities are there for them. So this is an opportunity for us to showcase the fine art talents. It has a story behind every painting, and it is our hope that this will tell the Papua New Guinea story a little bit more. Tell of our unique situation, what we are like. It tells us of what we think, what is important to us.
Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture E.C. Henry Leonard encourages local artists to excel in this creative industry. He appeals to the development partners to promote and market the skills and talents of their country's artists.
Papua New Guinea is full of so many different types of art, and you can see that displayed here in the different styles that the artists have. Very traditional, very modern. It's also full of young artists and old artists. So it's an honor to be here and to be able to support as part of the embassy, but also as an individual and an art lover. I definitely highly recommend coming and exploring Papua New Guinea, its culture, its art. It has so much to offer.
We don't have many local buyers. It's hard to sell paintings to our local market. But we appreciate it's only the expats that comes inside, and mostly tourists. They're very helpful. They're supportive by purchasing artworks. Please come to Papua New Guinea. There's lots of beautiful artworks here.
The Contemporary Arts Exhibition also provides employment to artists who are not formally employed. Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
A disturbing study reveals that 2.5 million youths in the country, most of whom are in middle and high school, report e-cigarette use this year. A finding that prompted the nation's top health agency to sound the alarm. Rosel Feria reports on Health is Well.
$2.55 million U.S. middle and high school students report e-cigarette use in 2022. This according to a study released recently by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. The findings include more than 14% of high school and more than 3% of middle school students. 85% use flavored e-cigarettes and more than half use disposable e-cigarettes. Findings are based on the 2022 National Youth Tobacco Survey of U.S. middle school, which is grades 6 to 8, and high school grades 9 to 12. The study assesses current frequent use of e-cigarettes, device type, flavors, and usual brands. The health agency says youth use of tobacco products in any form, including e-cigarettes, is unsafe. Such products contain nicotine, which is highly addictive and can harm the developing adolescent brain. Using nicotine during adolescence also increases the risk for future addiction to other drugs. Director of CDC on Smoking and Health, Dr. Deirdre Lawrence Kittner, says these factors continue to entice and hook the nation's youth. And they said that the work is far from over and that it is critical that all must work together to prevent youth from starting to use tobacco products, including e-cigarettes, and help all youth who uses them to quit. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
It took her 246 tries before professional lady golfer Jodie Ewart-Shadoff of England finally achieved what she's been aiming for her entire career, winning an Lpga tournament. And it was all worth the wait. In Somis, California, Alan and Eva Basalyahe with the story on this week's EBC Sports International.
Jodie Ewart-Shadoff of England is triumphant at the Lpga Mediheal Championship. With the victory, Ewart-Shadoff collects a cool $270,000 slice of the $1.8 million pie for herself.
This is the first time that the Brit was able to claim and keep the lead each day. And she's also only the third player this season to have staged a wire-to-wire victory.
I didn't know it was the course record, my first round, until just 20 minutes ago, so I think that's really cool. I really enjoyed playing this golf course. I think it's really fun. You know, you really have to have a good game plan and just kind of stay patient. So I've just really enjoyed my time here, and you know, as a 54 hole, you know, it's my first time, you know, after 54 holes leading, so I just proves to myself that I can do it.
With spectators lining the course, players acknowledged how enthusiasts brought enrichment to their sport.
It's always awesome to have fans out. I mean, just, you know, hearing claps after a good shot is just really gets you going. And yeah, just feeling like I'm back home, being pretty close to USC and seeing a couple of people wearing like USC gear was really nice.
I played with a few nice people in the pro-am and they've been out supporting me the last couple of days, so that's been nice.
To be able to have a good result, you just have to put your peak game at that 1 week. It's not only just how good you are, you need luck and some of support from the fans.
Personally, I love, you know, coming back to California, and, you know, like the weather and everything is just perfect. And of course, I think it's good for the fan as well. And, you know, it's very nice to see all the fans in California. And, you know, we always get a lot of support when we came back here.
The Sarakoi Club has been around since 1921, but this is the first time that its golf course has been used for the Mediheal Championship.
When asked to describe the course in one word, many players remarked that it was challenging.
And while we can concur that the golf course itself may have been challenging, watching and enjoying world-class play is never a difficult thing to do.
Evan Allen, Somas, California. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Recently, volunteers in Corpus Christi, Texas added smiles to children's faces while also learning construction skills. This happened during Habitat for Humanity's first ever project Playhouse, where corporate sponsors and volunteers built and donated playhouses for children and families in need. Jane Kathleen Gregorio has a story on community care.
Weekends are usually a time for relaxing. But on this particular Saturday, however, a group of volunteers were up early doing physical labor, putting hammer to nail, in order to bring smiles to children in the coastal bend. Thanks to the program launched by Habitat for Humanity Corpus Christi, the Playhouse Project gives community sponsors the opportunity of building a playhouse for local families in need. Volunteers not only got a chance to learn life skills such as teamwork and construction, but they also were able to connect with the community while making a positive impact in the neighborhood. This program also aims to teach children the pride and joy of home ownership by giving them a safe place to play and imagine what home means to them.
We are at Habitat for Humanity putting on our very first children's playhouse build. We put family applications online and children got to apply. They got to tell about their favorite story, their favorite character, letters, colors, themes. And we are now personalizing the playhouses, and those children are going to be super excited. Some of them don't even know that they're getting a new playhouse today.
I was the morning shift, and so I've come here to instruct my building team, and
now we have the design team. So I helped a little bit with the paint, as you can tell. Our child is a 4-year-old autistic child, so lots of bright colors, flowers, pinks, and things like that. So a little girly. So we're happy that we got to participate in this with the Habitat for Humanity, and we support everything that they do.
This is going to be our home that we as a board of directors kind of wanted to participate and build together, a little bit of a teamwork kind of effort. And it's going to be ocean themed. We're really excited for them to see it. We're really excited for get their reaction and see if they like it. We hope they like it.
It's a unique way of kind of bonding with people that you know, and it's a fun event and something that you get to give back to the community.
It's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. The people that built it, painted it, they decorated it. It fits her personality because pink is like her favorite color. Isabella's, she's just turned 4 years old. She just had a birthday a couple weeks ago. She's autistic and nonverbal, so you know, she's real kept to herself. She doesn't really like to interact with a lot of people, so having like her own little personal space is a huge blessing, you know, having all these new little toys. So she was excited to make me excited, so now she doesn't have to be just confined to one space. So now I have somewhere to take her out to where she will be excited.
Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News, Corpus Christi, Texas. We live in extraordinary times.
Today we go on a quick tour. Our destination? San Francisco, California. Our guide, Simone Lee, will show us interesting places, some quite popular, some worth discovering. Here's Adventure Awaits.
Hi everyone, I'm Tim Lee. Today let me take you to a few must-sees here in San Francisco, California. First stop, the Conservatory of Flowers. This beautiful landmark prides itself on curating rare and unusual flowers and plants from faraway places. Featuring this year is the Dahlia Garden located next to the Conservatory of Flowers. Since September of this year, the Dahlia Garden has reached its peak bloom, showcasing colorful and exclusive dahlia flowers throughout the garden. Next, we go to one of the most iconic landmarks in San Francisco, the Palace of Fine Arts. Designed by California architect Bernard Maybach, this grandiose and picturesque structure built in 1915 is a major tourist attraction. Its Greco-Roman style rotunda and colonnades captivate many visitors from all over the world. Now it's time to eat. This is Kitchen Story. Kitchen Story is a popular Asian fusion restaurant located in the heart of the Castro district. This restaurant is known for its generous portions and flavorful palate. Right next door is its dessert counterpart, EJayGonzales. EJayGonzales serves next-level Asian desserts, mostly inspired by Korean, Thai, and Japanese cuisine. Today we will be trying their famous Korean-style mango shaved ice and lychee crepe cake. Delicious! Join me next time for more of San Francisco's gems. This is Tim Lee, San Francisco, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Awesome news for gaming enthusiasts. Twitch, the popular online service for gamers, is once again holding its in-person convention. Twitchcon 2022 was held in San Diego recently. Our correspondent Mark Maranco was there to experience how important this was to the Twitch community.
We are here today at Twitchcon, where Twitch partners, affiliates, and community members come here to grow their respective channels and to meet new members of the Twitch community. Let's go ahead and take a look. For the first time since 2019, Twitchcon has come back to allow many Twitch community members to come and join in a 3-day event filled with games, workshops to help streamers and community members engage with their audience, and to finally meet people that they've only met online. While at the event, different organizations were able to showcase either up-and-coming product that has never been released, or to showcase the young talent on their respective squads to everyone who came along. In addition to that, the community was able to meet and greet some of their favorite Twitch streamers and share in many happy moments. Here, we have an up-and-coming Valorant streamer, Shiro RZ, to share his experience at the event so far. What have you been looking forward to about Twitchcon?
Well, I mean, the last one was in 2019, and I was basically a nobody then. So, like, this year, I'm just, like, looking forward to meet a lot more people. It's just so fun. TwitchCon's always a good place to meet people and just make new friends. And I mean, all of this, I've just been walking around exploring. It's nice.
So yeah, I know that you've been like getting pretty big in the Valorant scene. Have you like aside from like Grim, have you met any other players or like any other orgs about like trying to play for them or trying to do a collab with them?
Not really. Yesterday I saw a bunch of the TSM guys and like a bunch of other Val creators. It's just cool to meet them and just know them and be friends with them, you know?
And last but not least, what's your favorite Valorant voice line?
Favorite Valorant voice line? Salamat by Neon. When she goes Salamat, thanks, is the best.
In addition to that, we have Michael and the Compliments, a singing group, giving their take on how their TwitchCon 22 experience was. So what has been like the greatest moment so far that you've had at TwitchCon?
The greatest moment we're gonna have is tomorrow because we'll be performing on the Copacabana stage.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
That's to come. And then I randomly ran into a famous musician and actor that we're all fans of.
Yes.
Downstairs.
Wow.
That was cool.
That does sound cool. So then, I know that you guys are musicians, and so we've been asking this to a bunch of the streamers that we've been interviewing. So how does your content bring people together?
I think our content brings people together because music is the thing that brings people together. I mean, like, it brings people from all walks of life to one place where they can just enjoy, let go of whatever they're going through and just have fun. And so we're just super excited to share our love and joy of music with people.
So do you guys want to talk about like what kind of music you guys will be playing tomorrow?
Yeah.
Sure.
What kind of music do we play?
So we're going to be playing a set of all original songs.
Songs from both of us.
Songs from both of our artists. And they share different types of messages. So some of them are just like upbeat, fun songs, and then some of them kind of get a little bit deeper into, you know, life experiences. As Micah was saying, I think as musicians, we kind of try to focus on like sharing a message or sharing compassion or connection with listeners, because we're humans too, and everything that we write about is part of that human experience.
And so, like, do you guys have anything you want to say to our viewers in the Philippines in terms of like your music or like reaching out to them?
Well, hello, Philippines.
Yeah,
As
hello.
a Filipino-American myself, but I'm just honored to be a part of a culture that celebrates music. I mean, I grew up, you know, listening to music at a very young age. My mom studied voice and piano, and so getting any opportunity to thank, you know, where I came from and to share that love and joy with them is such a gift. So.
And last but not least, favorite video game? We're at TwitchCon, right?
MLB The Show.
I play Call of Duty. That's my favorite one. So, yeah.
Horizon.
Yay!
Ooh. There we go. Although the rise of streaming on YouTube and Facebook has definitely caught most of the attention, Twitch reminds us that events like these keep the love of the community and Twitch together. Mark Marenko, San Diego, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Days are getting colder as the fall season is making its presence felt. And I'm sure you will agree that a good bowl of soup makes chilly days more bearable. Ika shows us how to put together this tasty, perfect cold weather comfort food, lemongrass soup, on this week's Behind the Counter.
Hey, I'm Aika, and welcome back to Behind the Counter, where we see easy and tasty meals be brought to life. Let me tell you what, with fall approaching and cooler weather coming in, something warm and cozy sounds soup-er. For this week's dish, we have lemongrass soup. Let's get into it. Check back here for full recipes, and if there's a dish that you'd like to see, let us know in the comments below. Catch us on EagleNewsLive.com, on our Eagle News YouTube channel, and our Facebook page. Check back next time when we go behind the counter.
Before we let you go, here's our photo of the week by Jessica Batista. A beautiful picture of the fall foliage at Lake Harmony in Pennsylvania. Lovely colors, don't you think? Thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. View, like, share our other shows. City Limits with Alan Basalyahe. Connected with Dr. David. Take a seat and join us with Anna Kui. Plate Date with Mike Hudson and friends. Plus, Journey, Stories of Filipinos in Canada with Kathleen Cruz. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I am EJ Gonzalez. We live in extraordinary times. Happy weekend, everyone.